Hello. Just testing out some StreamYard here. Supposed to have a guest coming on shortly. We shall see where he puts me as a priority. Take a guess at who that is. And just killing the breeze, shooting the breeze. Killing time, shooting the breeze. No topic. Nothing nothing exciting. Just hanging out on a Thursday afternoon lunch hour shenanigan. Yes, Alex, it does. Wait a minute, let's do it like this. Look at that. I'm a good host. This is my first time on StreamYard for the two of you watching. Alex, Jason, whoever else is on. Or probably not Jason. Cheers, everybody. But no, I'm just, again, killing time, promoting the things that I have to promote, propaganda and such. And so we shall see who is slacking from work here at noon East Coast time. No, I am going out of town here in a few hours. I'm expecting something in the mail to get here, a laptop for a job, and I need to set it up. I don't want it to sit outside, so I'm kind of stuck until the laptop gets here. Could be now, it could be 7 o'clock tonight. Who knows? You know what I mean? Let's get Alex off of there. So again, just thought I'd kill some time. Normally on Thursdays, I'm filming with my buddy Rich. At least the last 3 weeks, I've been filming with Rich about 11 o'clock. Rich didn't feel too well today, so he's just hanging out at home. Get well soon, buddy. And we've been working on our Tom Petty Through the Decades series on Rich's channel. And what we're doing essentially is, going through the records that Tom Petty was putting out decade by decade. We started with the self-titled You're Gonna Get It and Damn the Torpedoes on the first episode, 3 albums. And again, that's 3 albums from 75 through 79. Is that right? Anyway, second half of the 70s, Tom Petty put out 3 albums. And we went through that. The 80s were a massive creative peak for Petty. I think 5 albums. He put out a live album with Pack Up the Plantation. He was part of the Traveling Wilburys in 1988 for their first album. He was putting out music videos left and right. He, was working with Stevie Nicks. He was doing production. He had a lineup change in the band with Howie Epstein joining after Ron Blair had to step back for family reasons. And we had a really good time talking about Tom Petty in the 80s. Again, it was just such a creative period for Petty, and just hard to believe that, you look at those artists from 60s, 70s, those artists that had like the 60s mindset in terms of, pumping out records for, getting a single out, doing that kind of thing. Well, what do we have going on backstage? What you sipping there? Gin and juice?
I wish. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you enough. Take that as you will. Hey, fresh cut.
Yeah, that was yesterday. What, Tuesday,
as the Brits would say.
Tuesday. That's right. Now, how are you, man? You still talking about Tom Petty?
Yeah, when I don't have anything to talk about, I talk about Tom Petty and Oasis apparently. But how do you take? You're a black coffee man.
Sure am.
That means you're a man.
I like my coffee like I like my soul.
Jazz, your black jazz series.
That'll work. Yeah, not a Brubeck guy. Actually, that's a lie. I am a Brubeck guy.
What is that series called? Is it just called like Black Jazz? Like it's like that series of records. Is that what it's called?
Well, there was a short-lived record label called Black Jazz Records.
Okay.
that was very like short-lived, very like rare collectible stuff. And so there's been some reissue campaigns that are reissuing a lot of the Black Jazz singles, but
That's what it is. Because like all the record covers are all black and white, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, because I get ads for them all the time, like like the reissues that are coming out. That's what I was thinking of. I wasn't culturally appropriating or anything like that.
No, you can say Black Jazz. Just yeah. I mean, but it doesn't help you out. You listen to Bill Evans all day.
Yeah, Bill Evans. Yeah, that's why I was listening to Milestones this morning.
Yeah. Great Bill Evans.
yeah. Him
right.
and Cannonball Coltrane. But no, I do listen to Bill Evans a lot. But no, I did get that Oscar Peterson, which you mentioned as Canadian jazz, if you will, because it sounds nice. That's why
even French Canadian.
Yeah,
that's what he says. Yeah.
Speaking of, didn't our boy FEA just put out a German channel? Did I see that right? For talking the French.
He put out a German channel?
I think so. I think there's a huge
new channel or what? Yeah,
it's a new channel. He posted on his community page. Because he speaks German because he's brilliant. And we're over here talking about the same 5 artists. But no, he put out a video. He posted it yesterday where he's talking in German. Apparently, there's a huge VC German population. Like it's big.
I can see that
because it's so condensed. There was a guy. I wish I could remember his name. He was a big Americana guy. I think his name was Glenn would know, but he was a big Americana guy. He had a few videos out in the English speaking VC. He disappeared for like a year and then he came back. He's doing these long form videos for German YouTube essentially. And wow. he's like 80,000-90,000 subs.
Wow.
So it sounds like we're in the wrong country.
Yeah, that's probably our problem, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah. Let me show us our boy Trevor. Sorry, I'm getting used to hosting duties, Trevor. We didn't forget about you. At least I didn't.
Hey, Trevor. Which
lunch break buddies, Trevor? You're having breakfast, aren't you? Over there in the PNW. But I see you're rocking our boy Jason Arsenault on your chest there.
Just that total coincidence. This is what I was wearing. Yeah, it's a good shirt. It's a good shirt. Typically, I hate the white shirts, like I hate the white man. But which right on. As
I think mine already has a stain on it.
You're like, oh my god, it's Kevin Costner.
Oh my gosh,
that's a good joke. That's okay.
That's a good joke. I think when I was the one time I've been out west, I like the ghost town is still there from Dances with Wolves.
Oh yeah,
it's still, I want to say Wyoming, and you pass around the interstate, like you see a bunch of the buildings back to the interstate. And I was on a bus trip, and I remember the tour guy was like, "Over here is where Dances with Wolves was filmed," and now it's just a ghost town.
I'd love to.
Well,
what record? Yeah, what record is that? Is that like one of his 14 new records? Is it an old new record? Funny, great timing though. I just the reason I was a little bit late to this was I was finishing up some food and I was spinning Neil Young myself, which is this record.
Yeah,
Sam, this would be your record.
It would be my record.
Yeah, because this is his country record.
I caught you knocking on. No, I do because Neil Young is for me.
Heroin addiction is not a joke, Sam.
It's not, but it makes a heck of an MTV Unplugged episode.
Sure does.
No, Neil Young is one of those guys. Again, like I have 2 or 3 Neil albums. I don't reach for them much. I don't even have Harvest, which I should, but I think like part of that is because I've heard those songs already so much.
Yeah.
That I haven't, jumped like for example, like Rumors. I never bought Rumors, but I think Rich gave it to me because he said I needed it in my collection, which is true. But it's a box set because he's got another archive set. I know I just saw him like unboxing the other day.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a live show, box set in that it comes in a box, but it is an album in the sense it's a live show. Yeah,
Is it Crazy Horse?
yeah, and this is I think early '90s. I mean, so it's like a pretty like he's like full in his like more noisy, and I wouldn't say grunge, but that sort of.
Yeah,
it's a loud, raucous, good rock and roll record.
What was your intro Neil album?
Well, if you remember, back when I had a series on my show before Jason Arsenal ruined it, called Five Favorites, that went 2 episodes. I was proud to be
the final episode.
That's right. It went. You made up half the show, really, and so outside of just like the hits that I would hear all the time, my intro was probably like a greatest hits CD when I was in high school, and then a little bit later was, and I have no idea why. Like I don't know why this was the case. It was the Live at Massey Hall. That was the record, because that was like that to me, because I had like greatest hits, cool, so like was very familiar with all like the hits, but it was Live at Massey Hall that I heard that I realized how much I enjoyed him when it was just him. As much as I love Crazy Horse and his band and all the loud ruckus stuff, like to me, my favorite Neil was always just him with an acoustic guitar or him at a piano.
Yeah.
And that's what Massey Hall is. So that was the all in there. And I'm still not into like a lot of his weird like Geffen year stuff from the 80s and some of his noise. Like he's one of these guys that like I like I go back and forth of like I don't even think like to me he's a much better acoustic player than he is like an electric player, because he's just sort of like leaned into like the noise thing, which good for some, but it's not really my jam.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean you see that especially at the I think somebody was talking the other day about the I was at band practice, and one of the guys in the band was talking about that Echo in the Canyon documentary that came out with Jacob Dylan, and the whole thing, like Neil Young is not in it. I mean, you have all these people that are shown, like David Crosby, the Byrds. They show like archival footage of like the Monkees and Michelle Phillips, like all these people that were in the Laurel Canyon scene, and Stephen Stills, and so like they're always like there's like this undertone that like Neil isn't in this documentary, and then at the very end, like during the credits, he's playing like "Learning to Fly," not the Foo Fighters song, but "Learn to Fly."
The Tom Petty song.
Yeah, no,
or the Pink Floyd song.
Oh gosh, wait a minute. Let me. There we go. There he goes. No, but is that a Neil Young song, or is that Buffalo Springfield? There's a.
That's a good question. I don't know if I.
Well, anyway, like it's like almost like they didn't like give the okay to film him, because they are filming him through like the soundboard wall behind the glass, and he's just like walking around like like ripping it on the guitar, and I mean by that point he was already into his 70s. Yeah. So it's stringy haired, balding Neil.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the thing, like he does a lot of like the whammy bar, he does a lot of pedals, but he was also coming up at the same time as the Hendrixes and the acid rock kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean there's his influence. I think he's one of these artists that like I mean I love Neil Young, so this is no knock on him, but I think he is an artist where his influence and impact has greatly not overshadowed, but his influence and impact is significantly greater than his talent.
Yeah. Expecting a Fly. That's the song.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I would put like okay, these are very, very different artists. I'm not comparing them, but I'm saying in terms of the relationship of like impact and influence versus, you know, capability, talent, all that kind of stuff, like kind of falls in like a Lou Reed type category. Like
Yeah.
he's not a good singer, you know what I mean? Like he's like acquired, but like not a great singer. He's, you know, but very, very influential. And, you know, it's also not lost on me. He's the godfather of grunge, you know? I mean, that was 20 some years beforehand.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, we always talk about Neil being the grunge guy because even still, like, you know, he rocks the flannel and, you know, baggy pants and like the long hair and everything. But like grunge, I mean, you can take, I mean, I'm talking about grunge. I don't know hardly anything about grunge. But like you can take it back to like the acid rock days. I mean, like Hendrix in a way. I mean, you know, the way that he would like bend a neck on the guitar and, you know, was down on his knees, like just like, facing the amps kind of thing is very grunge. But I mean, a lot of people put him in that acid rock, psychedelic rock, blues rock kind of vein. So it's interesting of who we put as, you know, the godfather or godmother of whatever.
Yeah.
I watched Neil Young live at the BBC, YouTube. It was very good. That was one of his like acoustic shows, I'm guessing.
I think so, because that's around the same time as Massey. It's like right before Harvest, and I think that's it might even be right before. Yeah, it's like Harvest, right before Harvest, and I think after the Gold Rush.
I think that was that famous video of him doing Needle and Damage Done, where, you know, his hair is hanging down.
Yeah.
But no, and it's interesting because, you know, again, like we like to label these people as, you know, the leaders of this and that. I mean, the big debate, you know, who is the real king of rock and roll? You know, like we talk about Elvis all the time, but in reality, the reason Elvis, you know, is considered the king is because that's what was allowed on the radio, like in like mainstream radio.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, you can't deny that he brought it to the mainstream. I mean, but I mean, I think Elvis would be the first to like point out where his roots were, with, you know, the black blues singers and, you know, the Chuck Berrys and the gospel singers and down in Memphis. But I mean, forever and ever, you know, as far as I'm, you know, that as far as, you know, like it looks, is that Elvis is going to be labeled as the king, when in reality, you know, you might say like, well, Chuck Berry, you know,
Little Richard, you know,
Richard, they might be, you know, if it had been today, they might be the ones that are on top of the pedestal, because Chuck was writing his own songs and playing an instrument.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a, I think a huge part of, and it's tough too. I mean, so we're on your channel now, Sam, so I'm gonna worry about this, you know, coming back to me. But no, like, you know, those are the part I think of music history and its impact on, or culture's impact on music. Like, not just me, it plays into the quote unquote like political conversations, right? Like, where it's like,
yeah,
you know, separate the politics from music. I'm like, look, politics has always been a part of music. Like, art expression is a lot of times a observation of society and culture, and that, you know, is inherently quote unquote political. Is there a difference between someone writing a anti-war song versus someone who's using a stage at a concert to say, hey, vote for so and so? Maybe. But it, you know, it is not lost on me, the whole, you know, shut up, Bob Dylan, and sing the song, stop talking about politics. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay. But the long story short there is like, there is this element that we have to recognize that as influential as someone like Elvis was and still is, the reality is that he was Memphis, surrounded by people of color, and stole, for better or worse, what was going on in Black culture at the time, because they could not do it in popular media. You know, it's very similar well, not very similar. I mean, this is something I think it goes both ways, right? I think like you can say like he was incredibly influential and took that art and made it quote unquote okay for the white audience, right? It's why it's why people like Eminem,
right?
Like, you know, yes, people like Eminem because like white people really, really like Eminem, and because he's white, because he's a white guy, right? So it's like, you know, it's just an interesting thing. I mean, you could make the same argument for those early Beatles records, right? Like,
Yeah.
Granted, that's what bands were doing in the early 60s was, cover songs and all that, old school rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me grab a couple here, and then I'm gonna get to what John said here. Jack was just saying, talking about the heart of songs. Which I mean, imagine hearing "Old Man" for the first time, like never heard it. I mean, now you hear it, you're like, oh, there's "Old Man." It's a great
Well,
song.
it's just, hilarious that he writes the song "Old Man" when he's like 22.
Yeah, now it's like now he's like reminiscing back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack, we're talking Elvis Aaron. Okay, so this comment right here, which I'll fight back a little bit because again, you can take that's like saying, to use Bob Dylan, it's like saying Bob Dylan is like the king of folk music. You can say that, but if you take Bob Dylan's whole catalog, he only did folk music for less than a third of his career, or less than a fourth of his career. Because again, he did those 3 folk albums, 4 folk albums, and then he did 2 covers albums in the 90s in terms of like straight ahead folk music. And I mean, he covered folk songs throughout his, whenever he was like jamming in the studio trying to get ideas, he would always revert back to like the Carter Family, Woody Guthrie kind of stuff. So with this, I mean, again, that's obviously opinion. I mean, I'm not a big fan of schmaltzy Elvis. I know our friend Rob really loves schmaltzy Elvis, like from Vegas, sequin suit. But the rock and roll era in the late Vegas 70s, that was kind of going out as it was anyway, and that wasn't what Vegas needed, and that's not where Elvis was finding money. So if you just look at those early rock and roll years from the first Elvis record, really until maybe like 61 or so, I mean, it's pretty straight ahead rock and roll. Again, opinion based. Is he the king of rock and roll? That's one of those things that's forever going to be, questioned, and again, political things coming to the forefront. But for all it's worth, I really like Elvis. I mean, I like those early Elvis records. I mean, it's hard to beat stuff like like hearing Hound Dog or Heartbreak Hotel for the first time. It's just like there's attitude there. Elvis was a front man, so he was really bringing that to the forefront as well. Again, you can argue a lot of these people. Little Richard was killing on the piano. Chuck Berry was doing the duck walk, across the stage that influenced, AC/DC and like everybody that's, Pete Townsend, Keith Richards. So yeah, I mean, again, you can't take Elvis's whole catalog and all combine it to be, rock and roll. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Alex?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Jack. That's an interesting live record. I know people, I mean, love it, especially that. But that is a noisy, psychedelic, off kilter kind of live record. But yes,
is that Neil?
Grateful Dead.
Oh, it is Grateful Dead. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the early red one, I guess. Red orange.
Yeah. Is that the first like official live album that they put out?
I think so. Yeah. Because you have those first several records are weird. Because what is it? Not Anthem of the Sun is the weird one where it's like sound collage. It's like a whole bunch of stuff that's just like edited or like kind of clipped together. But yeah, I think Live Dead might have been 69 or 70.
Okay. What was it, like Amoxabraxis, or what was the other one?
Amoxawaxa or Axomosa, or it's a palindrome.
Erythromycin.
It's a race car.
It's a race car, indeed. 69. But no, I mean, it's funny. It seems like a lot of people in the YouTube world are kind of poo-poo on live albums. I know. I think, is it Rob, or it's somebody that I know that's they just don't reach for live albums. I don't think it's Rob. I think it might be somebody else. Anyway, but I mean, I love the live record, and I prefer a live record to not sound like the studio version.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of talking in our chat about some live albums that are coming out. I know you just have a big one that's coming out for some of your boys. War on Drugs.
Got me.
Yeah, is that 3 disc, 3 LP?
No, it's only 2. $50 holler plus. Here's what I'm gonna be. Here's what I'm curious of is they announce it. They say, order. I will say it's a pre-order, but I think it's released like next week. So like, I think it's like more of an immediate drop, right? It's not like pre-order this. It comes out in 8 months. These are the things that happen. I rarely do I pre-order things from artist websites because I've just had too many issues with shipping, paying for shipping. It's more costly than it is at the local store. All these different things. However, it's what we do. Is like sort of trying to play the game about whether or not this is like a limited exclusive pressing situation, right? It's like, you were telling me.
I've got something. Keep going.
Yeah. You've shared the story enough times. I did the same thing of like, it happens all the time where, and people, the other thing is too, is the artists or the merch stores or whoever, just will actively lie about these things, right? Like, so they'll be like, they'll like, this is exclusive to the website. And then like a week later it's on Amazon and you're like, wow, thank you. Right. Taylor Swift is notorious for that. And so I was careful because I was like, you know what, if this is just going to end up down the road or on Amazon for $20 cheaper in 3 months, and I'll just do that. But pull up the pre-order, and there's only one place to order it, and that's on their website. It's not available through Amazon anywhere else. That's how it says. And then it was available at Rough Trade. And I don't know a ton about Rough Trade. I've just heard about them a whole bunch. Yeah. But the Rough Trade was doing the same exact variants, limited to 2,500. So it wasn't like an exclusive Rough Trade variant. They were just doing the same thing. And what's weird too is that they're saying, this is stupid. Whatever. They're saying that they could come in black or blue. Okay. And it's a mystery.
And it's interesting because the thing that I just pulled was the same group, but the Monkees, when their last official album, who might we have here?
Carly, I don't know. What are the allegations? This can't be good.
Does Rough Trade have allegations?
I don't know.
But the Monkees did that for their Christmas album from 2018, which was the last album released with all 3 of the surviving Monkees. And it was either you got like the green or the red color. Obviously, Alex, the allegations. But that was the stupid thing. It was like, you don't know what you're going to get. And that was the same with the McCartney 3 whole debacle that happened. And then like last year, it was like the 3rd anniversary of McCartney 3, and you could order, and there were 3 different like splatter vinyl variants of McCartney 3. And of course the Beatle people, we love you, but they're, jumping the gun and buying all these McCartney albums and getting 3 of the same record. But no, okay. So I just got this. I just showed up my recent vinyl finds. This is the recent Monkees headquarters released by Rhino. So it's, Kevin Gray. It was overseen by Andrew Sandoval, who is the Monkees like management. He was all over, all the Monkees reissues for Rhino in the 80s and into the 90s and up to today. The official releases. So this was released. It is it's color vinyl. So like I'm not going to pull both vinyl out, but like it's blue is one color, and then they have a red, just standard blue and red vinyl. And so it was released, but now Rhino has just announced that they are going to be releasing black vinyl. Like you can pre-order black vinyl now.
Sure.
That's going to go away in a minute. But the on the other hand, This was released a few years ago. This is the More of the Monkeys' second record from Run Out Groove, who ended up being absorbed by Rhino Records. This was limited. This was limited to like, I don't know, like 1,500 or something like that. And it sold out fast. I have the first one, but I've only had the black vinyl version. The color vinyl version goes for a little bit of money now. But it's like translucent green vinyl. And now it's a $60 record now. But this was limited. And once that was gone, it's gone.
Right.
And like everybody jumped all over it. But then again, you had the black vinyl that came out. So you got the same cut. It was still Kevin Gray. But you got the same cut. That Headquarters was not labeled as limited, but it was that FOMO of like, well, the two Run Out Grooves of the first and second Monkeys albums were limited, and they're considered to be like the playing copy. Like they sound great, and they come with a disc of bonus cuts, that have never been released on vinyl. And that's what I was worried about. And like, I bought the record. It's almost a $40 record. That's about a $40 record. And then you have shipping and everything. So you're looking at $45, $46. And then, Rhino's saying like, we have it on black vinyl now. So yeah, it's that FOMO where like, it's not listed as limited. However, you're going with the trends of, other record companies that have released this in the past. And, now that Rhino has the rights to these cuts, you kind of want to jump on it before it goes away.
Sure. Yeah. So. And it's tough too. I remember watching, Rob did a video a couple weeks ago about, like, I forget what it was called, but basically like his advice, like 6 pieces of advice for new collectors, all those different things, and talking about like how everything is going to get reissued. Like it will be reissued. It will be reissued. And I think, like mostly true on that, especially today, it's like, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when very few people were buying records. Yeah. Maybe not so much. Right. But like nowadays it's like, there's nothing keeping things from going back in print. Right. Yeah. Like now, especially, and like with everything that happened in like audiophile world with like MoFi and stuff like that, when it was like, it was digital. So that we couldn't, didn't want to damage like the master tape and like all these different things. And it's like, well, which I don't care if it's digital though. Don't you have a unlimited amount that you are able to produce?
You would think.
You know what I mean? And so like at that point, like why say something's limited? And of course, like, people are getting in their, pants about these things because it's like you bought a couple of those Rhino high fidelity things, that were numbered, right? Like they made it seem like we are printing just 5,000 of these, but they're going to print 5,000 that are numbered. And then after those sell out, then they're just going to print however many more that are unnumbered, but it's the same exact pressing, the same exact everything.
Yeah, it might be a color variant. There's nothing different, and that's that's the collector part of it. The people are like, oh, I gotta get this because it's going to be worth money. Like the people that are after it for money and making their Discogs amounts go up. And
it's like, so that like I got the Black Sabbath one, and that was like a $150, $200 record a couple weeks ago, and then they announced that we're just gonna repress it. Which is fine. Like that's not why I bought the record. I think, it is interesting that obviously labels or these companies are going to take advantage of people's FOMO and I think use intentionally misleading language to get them to, spend all the money now and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean,
yeah. So there's a company. I mean, a lot of people know about it. I know our boy Josh, the Flip Side, he talks about this company a lot. Real Gone Music, who they've been really good at reissuing the Fountains of Wayne records. They haven't put one out for a year or two, and obviously I love Fountains of Wayne, but they've also been doing this thing. And again, this does not sound like me, but once you know like what the music is, you're like, okay, that sounds like Sam. There was a kind of a, I don't even know, like a novelty group. That's the word I'm looking for. There was a novelty group in the 60s called Frankie Stein and His Monsters. And obviously like Frankenstein, but they were party records. I mean, they were meant to be put on in the background of parties. And it was just, studio musicians that were playing, rock tunes for, teenagers to dance to. Yeah. Well, he put out a series. I mean, Frankie Stein, whoever that is. There you go. But he put out these like 5 or 6 Halloween based records that essentially had like a bunch of like, I mean, you've heard like Monster Mash, like stuff in the background, like cauldrons bubbling and like like maniacal laughing and stuff. But anyway, I think they're fun records, and I love the packaging on them. So they just released the final 2, and I got them. And Real Gone. I mean, like here's one. It's called like Monster Sounds and Dance Music, and it tells like what dance to do with it. So it's like the twist, trot, all that stuff. So I'm dancing around.
Obviously taking advantage of that, yeah.
But these are like, okay, so this one like really cool vinyl, like zombie splatter or whatever they call it. But this one was supposed to be like only like 100 of these, like, well, as they wrote 100-ish, but they're hand numbered down here. So like I got number 15.
Right.
What does that mean? It just means that they, made a bunch of these. Some guy named, Jacob is in the corner, coloring things in. Real quick. Hey, FEA, all the hellos.
I think she's into the Franken mummies and stuff.
Oh, she's into it?
I think so.
Well, hold on to your hat there, because I got the second one here, which is just called Monster Melodies, and all the rest, they all sound exactly the same. I mean, but
is this like goofy ass like Halloween music?
It is, but that's not. But there's no vocals. It's more like garage surf rock is what it is. It's
Okay.
it's like the song will start with like Dracula going just like that, and then yeah.
you can tell my sister's getting a little bit stir crazy now that she's had to cancel the trip and like is probably just depressed sitting at home and
just listening to Weezer over and over again.
She just texted me, sorry to interrupt, Sam, but I don't know if you saw that, they're the Weezer Blue album's getting like this big reissue, right? They're like releasing like a deluxe double 45 and all that stuff. She just sent me the link that they're doing for $400 only, Sam. It is and limited to 100.
Okay.
It is a special like quad LP box set of the Blue album that comes with a signed by everybody. Certificate of authenticity, of course, and it comes in a sweater, like a package sweater, like a blue package sweater, and it's $400.
So is it the same box set that you can get anywhere else?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't paid enough attention. That is not. I like that album, but I will take my like $15 version that I.
So you're paying for Rivers Andrew Cuomo's signature.
Yeah, and knowing their sense of humor, they're probably like making fun of like
box sets,
$1,200 George Harrison box set, or the $1,500 John Lennon box set, and there's like this comes in a sweater.
But it sounds like Rivers Cuomo.
It does.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Continue with your Crypt Keepers there.
but again, like I think our boy Gary has a couple of these things to Josh, because it's essentially just garage rock, like from the 60s. It's like 60s surf garage rock. It's cool, but like it's the novelty thing. Oh, it's called Frankie Stein and His Ghouls. Excuse me, I said monsters. But like you have stuff like like some of the titles like Melancholy Monster. It's a groovy grave, but then it tells you underneath like what dance to do to it. So again, it's a party record. But see, this one was like, this was limited to 900 copies. And of course, like I'm a sucker. So it's, I jump all over it. And now I have all 5 because I can say now like I have all of those Real Gone exclusives, and I've got one that's super exclusive. But they stick around for a long time. Okay. Quad, how many people have a stylus for that now? 4.
Jesus.
What if it's a bad sweater that unravels? And well, ghoul is how a lot of again, to talk about our British friends, how they might say the word girl. Ghoul. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of this was stupid. I mean, me, I'm a coal mine hoe, and this was the latest. It doesn't, and this is not me getting special treatment. If you pre-order something from coal mine, they ship it a week early than your release date.
That's how Yep Rock is. Yeah.
And so it's not like people are like, oh, we got an early copy. And I'm like, no, I pre-ordered it. And this is what they do for their pre-orders. But it is the latest from the Masked Souls singer, Pale J. This is cool. I mean, it's very cool stuff, but it is sort of cinematic, super high-pitched falsetto soul music with, I wouldn't say funk, but a little bit more like lo-fi, dare I say, trip hop.
So it's Frankie Valli sings "This Is a Man's World."
That is exactly what this is. Now, this was the coal mine exclusive, limited 500, which has since sold out. But what was funny was when I saw the pre-order and I was like, okay, I saw this one, and then they said, and then also like coal mine does certain store variants, right? So but I saw that they were doing one for Seasick Records, which is out of Birmingham, Alabama, and they were doing a Seasick exclusive. So, but this was advertised as like, oh, and it comes with a signed print.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, well, shit, I want to get the coal mine exclusive and then the Seasick exclusive because I want the signed print, and it's like $25. What I didn't know, because it didn't directly say it, was that all of the first pressings of the record come with the signed print. So the coal mine one already came with one, or comes with one. And so I learned that, after the fact or whatever. So this is just staying sealed. I'll sell this, I'm sure. I have no use for this, but
do a contest.
Yeah, but I'm one of like the 6 people on YouTube who like coal mine. So it's like,
and you can make money.
Right, exactly. Like I'd rather get the $20 out of it. So, yeah, but kind of cool. I'll probably wait and see if that sells out there, and then that way it might go up in value a little bit. But it's not like an autographed coal mine record like shoots it up to $100. It'll be like, oh, that was worth 20. Now it's worth 22.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. I mean, I was telling you and Jason and a couple other friends just that last night I finally finished my standard vinyl. Cataloging into Discogs. I still have a few sporadic records that I want to put in there. I've got a bunch of records that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, whether I'm going to sell them or see if VCLT them. But it's just a bunch of records like that I won't listen to that over the years people have given me just because they knew I like vinyl records.
Yeah.
And if they can
give me all the ones I gave you.
Right, correct. No, I did think of you. One of the ones I put in yesterday was the raspberries, them fresh berries. But that's a really good record. But no, just going through and like seeing, like I had a couple that were autographed. Like I have a Marty Stewart that I found in a record store that was autographed by Marty Stewart. It was like $15. It was one of his early ones from the 80s. But like that, those are the types of things. It's like oh yeah, I've got I mean, even like the Avett brother, records, like, how much do you think those would go for if I was like, oh, I need to flip this on eBay? Like I've got a signed Avett Brothers album, like
I got no idea.
$60. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
So, but anyway, no contest. I'll do a contest at some point. The thing with VCLT, and it's very cheap, but I've got to ship that stuff out there. So I'm not trying to do that right now.
Yeah, I do have. We've been talking, obviously, in our other channels about doing, quote unquote, an auction, right? Because now I have like 3 duplicates of these Avett Brothers records. Gotta get rid of. I have a number, including that one, of like coal mine related issues but like pressings that I want to get rid of just because I have duplicate. They're different, pressings, but like once I found out that I could start buying like promos, I was like, that's the one I want. I want the promos. And then like, I don't really care if it's like an indie exclusive. So
yeah.
I think I have one of the Gabbard brothers, a little extra. But yeah, but there's so much of that, and then just a bunch of other stuff. Like I still have, I did my contest however long ago, and I get giving people the option of those 2 records. One was like that Art Pepper record, and the other was that double 45 of Rumors.
Yep.
But the winner of the contest lives in Japan, so I just sent him an Amazon gift card. So I still have both those records like sealed. I'm like, we'll just sell these. What am I doing?
There you go, Alex.
Look at that. So yeah, Coal Mine Records is an independent label. Mostly, I'd say 90% focused on sort of new / like neo soul funk, that type of stuff. There are a handful of artists on the Coal Mine or Karma Chief, which is their sister label, that is more focused on some different genres, but by and large they are old school sounding soul, funk, a little bit of jazz, some gospel here and there, that type of stuff. So yeah, but they got a pretty big catalog of different artists that do different things. So
sorry, I had a voicemail that I had to listen to. I'm starting a new job on Monday, and somebody tried to call me 3 times. It was Minnesota. It was a Minnesota.
Is that where it's headquartered?
Huh?
Is that where the company is headquartered, or?
I thought it was headquartered in Mississippi, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. It's probably just on my cell phone. But anyway, I had to double check to see what it was. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to that.
No, William, I have not, but I think this came up in the live stream that maybe I did on Saturday. I think some of y'all were talking about, that group. Not familiar, but it certainly looks like, okay, Big Crown. Yeah. I would say in the same vein of like those sort of like coal mine adjacent sort of artists. Yeah. But I'll have to check them out for sure.
What is their style?
It sounds like some like funk soul jazz, like maybe a little bit of hip hop here and there type stuff.
Okay. Do you have can you tease the people? And then ask them, and then I can't even keep going with the joke, but
pretty good.
Do you have a what's on tap coming up later today, now that your weekend's kind of freed up?
Well, that'll be tomorrow.
Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. Yeah, no, I do need to. I think today I'm going to probably be posting, or at least recording some contest entry stuff. There's a lot of that going on. There's threads, there's contests. It was funny. A month ago, someone was like, "We don't, there's not a lot of contests anymore." And then you turn around and there's like 6 of them. Yeah. So I'll probably record a couple of those today and post today, and then tomorrow will be like a what's on tap, what's been spinning, what's been buying, that type of stuff. So,
yeah, I have not. I'm debating today. Probably it'll be tomorrow. There's some of those record stores I went to last week. I might go back and just check out. I'm gonna have to be very, very frugal and kind of see what's out there. I'm really just gonna be looking at new arrivals and stuff, and if there's anything worthwhile that's cheap, I might pick it up. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of things on pre-order that are supposed to be coming in later this month. The new Nick Lowe record is coming in, which I found that was another one of those things where it's like the store Yep Rock, they had sold out of like the title of the record's called Indoor Safari, and they had a hey Christian, how are you? Tommy on a live stream. This must be a big day, or you're home ill.
Could be both.
It could be both. Tommy, good to see you, my friend. But the name of the record is called Indoor Safari, and they have like a bamboo variant, like bamboo color vinyl.
Cute. Yeah.
So like I don't know like if it's got like bamboo, like how bamboo is like sectioned off. Like I don't know if it's gonna look like that. But apparently it looks really sweet, and so it's sold out on Yep Rock, and I was online. And I reached out to some of the people at Yep Rock, and I was like, "Hey, is this still available anywhere?" And hoping that maybe I might get a freebie. That didn't happen, but they're like, hey, on Amazon, there's still some available. So it was cheaper because it was
Of
on
course.
Amazon. Yeah. So
And free shipping.
free shipping. It was, it's a $23 record.
Yeah.
So I got $25 after tax. So I'm happy to have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because, and that's the thing about the VC is, all of us are out here doing kind of the same thing. We're all kind of giving free advertising to, for the most part, free advertising to, artists that never will look at our channels. And that's the joy of, occasionally having, people reach out. Yeah. Nothing says frugal like free. That's why Alex likes a free lunch.
If it ain't free, it ain't for me. That's right.
But
dude, I would do anything for a free lunch. I've told you the story. Like I've driven an hour and a half for like a free ham sandwich.
That's insane.
So I'm curious the thoughts on this. Yeah. So I have not pre-ordered this because again, there's 14 variants, right? There is a variant off the website. That would be a website thing, but it's going to cost like, shipping and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be sitting around $50. But there's also, I think, an indie store exclusive with that. That would be my second. I don't want to do like an Amazon exclusive, right? Like,
right.
That doesn't sound sexy to me. But I'm very curious. I am definitely going to stream this when it gets released tomorrow, and get my thoughts. Yeah.
I mean, people are saying it's the best of his solo albums. I mean, albeit this is what, number 4, number 5.
Who knows? I don't. Well, I was telling you, I mean, kind of, I guess, in the same ish vein. I was texting you yesterday that like I finally listened because I had heard so many people talking about the new John Anderson record, and I was like, everybody's sitting there talking like this might be the best Yes related thing in 40 years or whatever, and I'm like, there's no way. Like people say that type of stuff, right? Like it's the same thing. Like
it's hype.
It's hype. It's like whenever my favorite is like when a legacy band releases like a new record in 2024 and people are like, it sounds like their old stuff, and you're like, is that good? Like they're like 72. Do we want them to sound like this? You know what I mean? And so I was like, I went into it pretty like, I don't know. I think people are just blowing this up. And I listened to it a couple of times and especially the big epic. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. So I don't know, that's another.
Does he have any Yes alumni that play on it?
No, it's him with the Band Geeks, which I guess the story is that the Band Geeks did they're a band that has some members of some other bands. Specifically, they got a guy that is in Blue Oyster Cult and sort of led a lot of the songwriting and arrangements on like The Symbol Remains, which was a Blue Oyster Cult album from a couple of years ago that people loved. And so
yeah, that's right.
Right.
Sounds like Astral Weeks. I'm like, he's been putting out, like for like Van Morrison, it's always like this. He's got songs that's like Astral Weeks and Moondance. It's like, all right, that's the same guy.
Yeah. But apparently, the story was the story was that like John Anderson saw a video maybe or attended a show. Like it was either he saw the Band Geeks perform because I think they did Close to the Edge or something. Like they did some kind of Yes work, and he was like, "Oh my god, these cats are amazing! I want to go record an album with them." Mm-hmm. And such is life.
Did you know them before? Like, had you heard of them?
No, never heard. I heard one of the main guys, the Castellano guy. I think Richie Castellano or something.
Yeah,
because of his Blue Oyster Cult connection, but. It's not like I don't think it's like a super group of all these who's who people. I think it's just sort of like a band of Joes.
Craig, I'll jump on this first because I know Alex's answer is gonna be more interesting. So obviously it depends on where I am. I mean, I would prefer to go record hunting. I would prefer to go going through the flip bins. I follow a couple local stores and see that the occasion like my local store. Okay, my local store. Alex has been there a couple times. It's very small. It's like the size of a living room, if not smaller. Just a tiny little place, kind of inside of like another building. And like, I mean, they've got good stuff occasionally, but like it's mostly like it's a lot of like punk related stuff. They do have a good jazz section. All that, and the prices are pretty much like mid to middle high in terms of like pricing is not like, oh, you should go here and get a deal. So if I go there and I see a record or two that I like, I'm probably going to grab it because it's right there. Because I don't have any other stores within an hour of me that I can just like go to after that. So like most of my albums have come from Amazon in terms of like new releases, or the stores, the record companies, wherever, whether it's Rough Trade or Yep Rock or Real Gone, like any of those places. Occasionally Merch Bar, but they're kind of iffy. So like again, there's a in Charlottesville, which is where my girlfriend is. There's like 5 or 6 that I'd never been to until last week, and I was over there and was going through all these record stores, and I was like, wow, I've missed this. Like, this is so fun. Yeah. And that's kind of where Alex is. Where I mean, he's got record owners knocking on his front door, giving him records.
Yeah,
right.
Always. Yeah.
And Tommy here, he's got a lot of stores where he is. But yeah, the cover is very clip art.
It's so weird. It's just so bad. I mean, maybe that's the point. I just you think about like the conversations. Like there was a meeting that was held over Zoom where someone who's like, here's what we're thinking, and everybody in that room was like, yeah, looks good. And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah,
he's like holding the mic. He's kind of like, it's like the glitter like word or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a Jack and Diane situation with the children.
That's it's kind of like like you see on social media, like no offense, older people, but a lot of older people that have like the filter with like the banner that comes across their face, and it's like, that looks good. Let's it's just like I didn't get my vaccine. You
just alienated like 90% of your subscriber list, Sam.
Like, it's a blessed day. It's across the face.
Steve's no longer watching.
Yeah, Steve doesn't do the socials.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, I was gonna say too, I on the whole like new thing. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. Like, if it is a we'll say old album, right? Like I always try to find like the original. If it's accessible, if it's affordable, right? Like I'm totally good with my reissue of Velvet Underground and Nico, because an original is like $1 gazillion or whatever. So, within reason. But for a lot of new stuff, it depends. It really depends, because of course I want to support local. I want to support independent stores. The other thing too is, from the record store perspective, record stores don't make a ton of money on new records. And that's why a lot of mom and pop shops will opt not to do new records, because what they're selling for $35, they probably paid $28 for.
Well, like our friend Dylan at Noble Records. I mean, they don't do record store day.
Yeah, and he did a great video where he was talking about like, yeah, like guys like this, I sell for $20, I got 15 in it, and so, but if they're able to buy a collection of used records for $1,000 and turn all of those around and sell everything for $5,000, like that's where they're going to make their money. So there is an extent that I look at, like, me choosing to buy a new record online versus buying it in the store is not hurting the store inherently, because they wouldn't be making a lot of money off my purchase anyway. The other reality though is if it is something where it's like, I will try to do, if it's like a new record that has an exclusive like independent record store color variant or cover or something like that, that's something that's appealing to me for sure.
Yeah.
But if an indie store exclusive is $40 and a basic black version is on sale on Amazon for $18,
yeah,
I will be the terrible person and buy off Amazon. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, if the indie store version is $25 and Amazon is $18, I might do the indie store. You know what? For $7, it's worth it to get. So it really depends on the record and what it is and all that kind of stuff. So, I will say I just had on Labor Day, one of my locals does like a Labor Day. They call it a record swap, but really it's just like a mini fair. So there's like 7-8 vendors who set up. And, it's interesting because I've gone to a number of these now, which means like I know the people, which is good, but also like, the people and like, I'm like, these people have been sitting on these same records for 30 years and like are completely oblivious to the fact that eBay and Discogs exists.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
yeah. To go to Tommy there for a second. That is, I mean, Tommy and I have joked about this, but that's one of the worst pictures of Bob Dylan ever. He's like in a onesie white jumpsuit
on the back of Street Legal.
on the back of the street. Yeah, go pull that thing.
And then find the record.
But yeah, it's like he's got his, that's when Dylan was in his mascara era. And yeah, like the shirt's unbuttoned. He's kind of got like a beer belly. It's weird. Yeah, check that out. Show the people. And Craig says, it's sad I can't shop in my local record store because the owner doesn't believe that people are allowed to have their own opinion. So he told me I am no longer allowed in his store. Huh.
We need more there, Craig. We need more.
Did you pull it? Let's take a look.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, well, first of all, what do we feel? I like the front of this cover. I do. It's a little Ches. It's a little late 70s, but such is life.
He's looking for the taxi. Yeah. He looks confused. He looks lost.
And kind of like Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Meets like Jewish Elvis.
Jelvis?
Jelvis the pelvis. Oh gosh.
That was cool. He does this. You could totally flat him be like, it's Alice Cooper.
Yeah, school's out. Joking, man. No. But that's got some good songs. Changing of the Guard, Senor, New Pony. Those are all killer.
Senor.
Oh gosh. Senor. Can you tell me where we're heading?
Senor. Yeah. Is your love in vain? Yeah, I do like this record. I mean, I think what's so funny, Sam, I don't know if you get into this. Obviously, you're a much bigger Dylan head than I am. But I bring this up all the time because I think it's so fascinating of like, for example, I feel like this record was pretty like panned upon release. But I feel like that's what people say about like 90% of records all the time. And it's like, did people not like it because it was 1978 and they were coming off Wet Desire and everything? People really like Desire. And then they're like, oh, this is not what I want. Because, it's like, it's funny when like we go back as like these young fools and we're like, we hear it and we're like, oh, it sounds great. Like, I don't like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's use that picture. If there's any proof that Dylan doesn't care one bit, that's it. Yeah. Here, you keep talking. I've got somebody who knocked on my door.
Oh, someone got a laptop coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeet. Hey, FBA, I don't know if you're still out there or not, if you're going in and out, but I wanted to show you. Picked up this record on Monday at that record fair, Beggar's Opera. And it's cool too because it's a little DJ promo copy, which is cool. I spun this on the other night. This was quite a listen. Lots of organ. That's a heck of a cover too. Can you tell this is a prog record? You're still muted, Sam.
It's either prog.
Yeah, say the joke again. Yeah.
It's either Prague or the Village People. It works better the second time.
Yeah, really good.
No, I just got a big old laptop. Had to sign my old Johnny hand.
Yeah.
Dylan meets Alice Cooper meets Elvis. All right, Craig. We'll see you, my friend. Yeah, but no. What were you showing there? I missed your story.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It was a record I think FEA mentioned a while ago. But yeah.
I think the best art is judged by history. It's hard to be appreciated in its time. Well, do we call that Dylan photo art? Or just bloated Cooper Dylan?
I'm sure some people would,
Tommy, I think you need to put that on a t-shirt and that can be your new logo. Black and white. It will work very well on a t-shirt. I know a guy that does t-shirts. So does Alex.
Right.
No, yeah. For a second, when I heard the door knock, I was, like a lot of us, like I thought it was company, so I just thought I'd be quiet and maybe they go away. But yeah. Um, that Dylan photo is on another level. Yeah, I mean, Dylan was on. I mean, Dylan didn't know where he was at that point in the 70s. That's why he was singing "Senor" and "The Wicked Messenger" and all that stuff. There was a wicked messenger. No,
It's no joker, man.
It's no joker, man.
Yeah, we need that ranking again too. Now that you're in the time to go back and re-rank all your favorites.
Yeah, I'm at that point. Kind of like every 10 years they redo the Batman movies. That's kind of where I am.
Well, yeah.
Like 2 years.
I mean, I fully recognize that one of your highest, if not one of your highest viewed videos ever, was your Van Morrison ranking.
Yeah,
it's time to double dip on that.
I need to double dip those chips,
unless the YouTube algorithms decide that you're duplicating content.
Yeah,
and then goodbye monetization.
This is my step toward monetization, is to talk about Bob Dylan's ugly photo.
That's right.
No, I do need to. That's a good question for the peanut gallery there. Have any of you that have channels? Oh gosh. Speaking of t-shirts, I literally mentioned somebody that does t-shirts, and look who appears. How many of you all have gone back in and done essentially the exact same video? I'm not talking about a series a la Steve showing us every crusty record in his collection, but like Alex said, if you ranked your top 10 Led Zeppelin songs 3 years ago, is that something you would do again, or are you like, it's out there, it's done, I can just repost it on my community page? Because that's something that can be. I mean, like I know our friend Matthew Street. He's a big Oasis guy. I know you are too, and he did a couple of hype videos for Oasis, and like then went back and reshared videos from like 3 years ago, because we all gained subscribers. I mean, even
Yeah.
I mean, have you been around? Have you had a full year yet on YouTube?
Next month.
Next month. So even then, I mean, you start with zero. And so those first videos are just, our friends who are, hyping us up. And then you could just take exactly that same script, put it as a new video, and you're going to get more views on that one, in theory, than you would on your first.
I mean, yeah, the exposure would be there. But I think the other reality too is like with things like a catalog ranking, I would assume that it has changed. And I think that in itself is worth examining, right? Like I mean, truthfully, like if your list and your rankings stayed exactly the same, I would be, maybe then you're like, you know what, let's not post it. But like, but I would guess for all those people, like there would be some movement, or there would be a different perspective, or you'd be more familiar, or like, all those different things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I know, again, there are people out there that always talk about, like who are my top 10 favorite bands, who are my top 10 favorite artists, favorite albums, whatever. And that's the thing. Like, do we lock in even year by year? And it's like, those are still my 10 favorite albums. Like those are still my, and I know like, I mean, you've kind of mentioned before, like it's hard for you to do like the ranking thing. And I know Tommy is the same way. Tommy doesn't like to do ranking because it changes for his day. I mean, like one day his favorite artist is Frank Zappa. Tommy loves to hear, Jack White. He loves to hear, the Monkees. McCartney. He might like McCartney solo one day better than the Beatles. It's just like what he's feeling. Yeah, there you go.
I think, what's interesting, I've thought about this too. It's like, and this leans into a little bit of like not the content creation thing, but I think the engagement piece of YouTube, of like, at the end of the day, the ranking's not important. Like you're not really doing a ranking to rank them. Yeah. You're doing a ranking as the methodology of having a big, long discussion about one of your favorite artists. Like who really cares the difference between your third favorite and your fourth favorite versus your eighth favorite, or when you're dealing with Bob Dylan or Van Morrison? Like, I don't think anybody's actually expecting you to be like to decipher between your 33rd favorite and your 31st favorite.
Right.
We're not talking about the Police. And so, it's like, it's one of those things I think of like, yeah, like this could change tomorrow. This could change in an hour. I don't even know if what I'm saying really makes sense. There's been times I've been talking about an album where I'm like, this is my favorite album. And then I like look at it and I'm like, I don't really like that song. I don't really like that. But like, you know, it has the emotional connection, but then I can talk about that emotional connection. Right. And so I think it's less of the actual list itself and more of that. It is the, what is it called? The vessel to having these conversations about our favorite artists, right? And to discuss why records mean a lot to us and all that kind of stuff.
And see, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, like when you get down to like your top 2 or 3, hold on, I gotta sneeze. Didn't come out. Yeah, I mean, I can say, you know, right now and for the last several years, my favorite song is "God Only Knows" by the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, I could have done my top 10 favorite song ranking a few years ago. That might still be my favorite song, but I might have more life experiences behind that song that make it more. What Roku channel are you switching there?
Sir.
No. But like the lyric, like "God Only Knows" might change for me, you know, 2 years from now than what it means to me right now. Like that's what people want to hear is what I'm thinking. Everybody says hello, all that stuff. Yeah. I think, I mean, I don't know if Alex, you would get behind that as well for your own, you know, likes and dislikes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you know, but that I think the other thing what's cool about the rankings, and again, it's not necessarily about I can't believe you put this here, that here, right? But like, you know, you said before, like, Joker Man. What's the Joker Man record? Infidels. Like you said, that might be your third favorite. It's your second favorite. Like, find me more Bob Dylan fans that will have that as number 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is less on the quality of Infidels and more on the quality of the rest of the catalog, right?
Right.
Like, you know, I'd go, okay, like Blonde on Blonde, Blood on the Tracks, bringing it all back. Like, you know, you would go through the whole thing and throw in some other stuff. So I think that to me offers, if I'm like a random Bob Dylan watcher, like, although I might be like, oh my God, this motherfucker got Infidels at number 2, but then I get to hear why Infidels means so much to you.
Yeah.
And I think that makes for good engagement, even though you would get that, you know, I'm sure you would get the number of people who are like, I can't believe you would put the Joker Man at number 2, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with Steve because Jeff Witcher did his favorite 100 songs. And like, that was just like songs to me are day by day. Like, I can't do it. And I've thought about like, well, if I was to do that series, like, would I go through, I would probably do it so I just had one song per artist. So like I wouldn't have, you know, 20 Beatles songs in my 100 because I don't think 20 Beatles songs would be in my top 100. But then I would have to go through each artist that I love and essentially say like, what's my favorite song by, you know, the Avett Brothers, you know, Head in the Heart, the Monkees, Dylan, whoever.
You'd have to think of 100 bands.
That's the truth.
It's gonna be tough. No, because then you have like the one, like, you know, I'm sure even you have like the one, like, I have no idea why, but it's one of my favorite songs of all time, and it falls completely outside of like your normal listening habits. Right.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I've always been a sucker for Safety Dance. You know, it's just been my thing. You know, like,
yeah. Der Kommissar. Yeah.
It's so stupid. Yeah.
I know you're a fan of 99 Left Balloons.
Don't talk crap on Nana.
I call mine Grandma, but you know.
All right. Well, speaking of Germany.
See, and there's Steve.
But you know, the other thing with the rankings, especially, I think it's true for artists with huge catalogs, is that the reality is, and the older you get, Sam, the more you'll realize this.
Okay.
It would feel like 90% of this world, everything just operates on a bell curve, right? Like if you're looking at Van Morrison, who's got what, 40 albums or whatever, 50, 70, like, you know, if somebody has 40 albums, 5 of them you're gonna be like, I really dislike those.
Yeah.
5 of them you're gonna be in absolute love with, and 30 of them are gonna be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is just sort of how the bell curve would work with so many of those different things, where it's like I'm not going to be able to distinguish 29 from 30 or even 25 to 37 or whatever, but I can distinguish 1 to 40
Yeah.
or something like that. But also it just makes for, you know, people. I think the reality is I think people enjoy watching it, right? Like whether or not it's true or true to form or whatever, people enjoy watching. I think people enjoy making them. Yeah.
There's a good question. You just round off all your like. I mean, like I would have like the Kanye West song "Power." Like that's like just a hype song. Like I'm like, yeah, I can get behind that song. You know. But anyway, this comment made me laugh.
That's probably true. That's a lot.
We'll see. This the funny thing is, back to this comment. Steve says he can already do a top 10 albums ranking. So
one might have to ask,
why haven't we done it? Why are we still talking about Lord Huron in your collection?
That's a snooze fest.
There you go, Elliot. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Elliot.
I'm probably winding down here in a second. I've got this laptop that I need to.
Yeah. Someone's got to go see his girlfriend again.
Yeah, and then I'll do too.
Good one.
So, no, this was this seemed like a pretty good little mid-afternoon. By mid, I mean early. Elliot, I would love to see you down in that basement listening to Lucky Star, with your eye patch on, a la Madonna.
I am trying to think of like some artists that I genuinely dislike or like avoid, but I like love the song. I mean, I think there's always like those like, you probably remember this from like college, or there's like some kind of like pop banger that you're like, I can't believe. Like I've always loved, since I was in college, like Starships by Nicki Minaj. Oh, give me my star. Like what a banger. Two
for me. I love the song Cheerleader. I do.
Oh,
I think
God, what a terrible song. But yeah, keep going.
And then the other one is Magic, that has Rivers Como in it. You know, it's like, I've got the magic.
That was from Pitch Perfect, right?
Yeah, but who was the rapper in it? It was a one-hit wonder. He was like, oh gosh, but like I love that song. I love the Rivers Como like chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, that's those are the kind of things like I can get behind those songs. I like the song. Again, one-hit wonder bands, like, you know, I remember when it came out, the song "Rude" was kind of cool, like in the kind of reggae.
Oh, why you gotta be so rude? Yeah.
Can I love your daughter for the rest of my? Yeah. The peanut gallery does not know what we're talking about. Okay, all right, we got some heat here. We got some heat. Hold on.
It's about time to end this, Sam. Cut it.
I do not believe it. Okay, well. It was a little joke, Steve. We love you. We'll see. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I have the Immaculate Collection. Yeah. Don't you have some like Olivia Rodrigo in there, John? Yeah. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'll stop. Thank you everybody for watching. This was again my first foray into StreamYard as a host. Alex was available and hopped on, so thankful for that, Alex. Go check out his channel. I think everybody already knows it because there's very little crossover in the VC anymore.
Thank you.
But yeah, everybody, we will see you soon. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. That Marcy Playground.
I don't know what you do on your recess, but
That's
anyway.
Right.
All right, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Sam. Have a good weekend, buddy.
See you. Bye, y'all.